This morning, you stood in front of the mirror, pinched the soft bit at your waist, and sighed. You decided it was no big deal, and you got on with your day. But that soft pinch is not the fat that should worry you. The truly dangerous fat is the one you cannot pinch at all. It is buried deep inside, where your fingers will never reach. Because there are two completely different kinds of fat inside your body, and they could not be more unalike. One you can hold in your hand, the other you would never even know was there. One is mostly harmless. The other quietly raises your risk of diabetes and heart disease. And here's the part that catches almost everyone. You can be skinny on the outside and still be packed with the bad kind inside. So this is the real question. What is that hidden fat secretly doing to your body right now? Stick with me, because by the end of this you will never look at your own belly the same way again. Let's meet your guide for today. This is Doc Nora, and she is about to ruin Pinch an Inch forever. Most of the fat on your body is subcutaneous. It is the squishy layer right under your skin. It is the part you can grab. And honestly, that jiggly stuff is mostly harmless. It is just storage sitting quietly out of the way, padding your hips, your thighs, and your arms. Some scientists even think a little of it is protective, a cushion that keeps fat out of far worse places. But visceral fat plays by completely different rules. It does not sit quietly. It is active, alive, and busy, and it wraps itself around your organs. It packs into the deep spaces around your liver, your gut, and your heart. And here is the wild part. Doctors treat this fat almost like an organ in its own right. It behaves like a gland. It makes its own chemicals and pumps them into your body all day long. And the chemicals it makes are exactly where the trouble starts. So let's go inside and watch it work. Up close, visceral fat is not a lazy blob, just sitting there waiting to be burned. It is a chemical factory that never clocks out. It pumps out inflammatory messengers called cytokines, with intimidating names like TNF-alpha and interleukin-6. Now do not let the names scare you. Just think of cytokines as tiny alarm signals. A few alarms are completely normal and even helpful when your body needs to heal. But a constant flood of them sets a slow fire smoldering inside you. Scientists call this chronic, low-grade inflammation. The word chronic just means it never switches off. There is no fever, no pain, just a fire you never actually feel. And that invisible fire is what quietly wears your body down, year after year. But the smolder is only half the danger. The bigger problem is where this fat is sitting. Most of the fat on your body drains its waste out into the general bloodstream, where it gets handled slowly. But visceral fat is different. It has its own private pipe, and that pipe runs straight to your liver. It is called the portal vein. And down it, visceral fat dumps a flood of free fatty acids every single hour. Your liver gets force-fed grease it never asked for, hour after hour, with no off switch. So it does the only thing it can. It starts storing that fat inside itself, just to cope. And that is how fatty liver disease quietly begins, one greasy droplet at a time. The scary part, it usually starts in total silence, with no symptoms at all. Quick gut check for you. Have you ever even heard of fatty liver? Drop a yes or no in the comments. Because most people have no idea they could be carrying it. Now things get worse, because all of this quietly attacks the one signal that keeps your blood sugar in check. First, let's see how it should work. Insulin is the key that unlocks your cells. It opens the door to let sugar in for energy. Normally it works perfectly. Sugar arrives, the key turns, the door opens, and your cells get fed. But visceral fat's chemicals gum up that lock, smearing the keyhole shut from the inside. The key turns and turns, and the cell door just will not open. Doctors call this insulin resistance. Your cells stop listening, and sugar starts piling up in your blood with nowhere to go. Your body panics and pumps out even more insulin to force the doors. For a while it works, but push that far enough, for long enough, and it tips into something everyone has heard of. Type 2 diabetes. This is why visceral fat is tied so tightly to diabetes. It is not just sitting there, it is actively breaking the system, piece by piece. And the damage does not stop at your blood sugar. From the liver, the trouble flows straight toward your heart. All that extra fat and inflammation pushes your cholesterol the wrong way, and it quietly stiffens your arteries, turning soft, flexible tubes into hard, rigid pipes. Sticky plaque starts building up inside the artery walls. It narrows the very pipes that feed your heart, leaving less and less room for blood to flow. Over years, narrowed pipes and stiff arteries are the road to high blood pressure, heart attacks, and stroke. And the more visceral fat someone carries, the higher that risk climbs. The numbers here are not subtle, so this one hidden fat quietly ties together three of the biggest health threats we face, and it usually does all of it without a single symptom to warn you. Now here is the twist that catches almost everyone off guard. You do not have to look overweight to be at risk. Scientists actually have a blunt little nickname for this. They call it TOFI. It stands for thin on the outside, fat on the inside. Lean where you can see, packed where you cannot. Two people can wear the exact same jeans, weigh exactly the same, and still have completely different fat hidden inside. One of them quietly at far greater risk. This is exactly why a perfectly normal weight can still hide a very real problem. The scale simply cannot see this kind of fat. It only weighs you. It has no idea where that weight is sitting. So forget the scale for a second. There is a far better number, and it costs you absolutely nothing. The single most useful thing you can do is measure your waist. Just a simple tape measure around your belly button. That is it. It sounds almost too simple to matter, like something that could not possibly tell you much. But your waist size predicts this hidden fat far better than your weight ever could. As a rough guide, the risk climbs sharply for men over about 94 centimeters around the waist. And for women, the risk climbs sharply over about 80 centimeters. Those are the lines worth knowing. Cross them, and the odds are you are carrying too much of the dangerous stuff. Now this is a rough screen, not a diagnosis, but it is a free 2-minute warning sign that is absolutely worth knowing. Go on, picture it. Grabbing a tape measure tonight, just once. Most people never have, and that is exactly the problem. So why does this fat pile up in the first place? And here is the surprise. It is not just about eating too much. The first big driver hides in plain sight: liquid sugar, especially the fructose in sodas, juices, and sweet drinks you sip without a second thought. Your liver handles fructose in a special, almost reckless way, very different from other sugars. A lot of it gets turned straight into fat, right where you do not want it, around your organs. The second driver really surprises people because it is not food at all. It is stress. When you are stressed, you flood your body with a hormone called cortisol. And of all the fat in your body, visceral fat is its absolute favorite target. Visceral fat has 2 to 4 times more cortisol catches than the fat under your skin. So in a very real way, stress literally feeds the most dangerous fat you carry. And the third driver is the one almost everyone overlooks completely: bad sleep. In real studies, people who slept too little actually grew more of this deep belly fat, even when they ate the exact same food as everyone else. And just one bad night can drop your insulin sensitivity by around a quarter. Your sleep and your waistline are tied together more tightly than almost anyone realizes. So sugar, stress, and sleep, 3 quiet builders, feeding the fat you cannot even see. Now for the part that should genuinely make you feel hopeful. Because this whole story has a real upside. Here is the beautiful twist. Visceral fat is also the easiest fat to lose. It is very often the very first to go because it is so active and so eager. It responds fast. When you start moving, this is the fat that retreats first. And the best part is you do not need a brutal crash diet to do it. Regular movement, walking, anything that gets you breathing, chips away at it. Then cut back on the liquid sugar and sweet drinks. And just like that, you turn off the fire hose of grease feeding your liver. Then protect your sleep and find small ways to tame your everyday stress, and you quietly cut off the cortisol that this fat feeds on. None of this is a magic pill. Honestly, it is the boring stuff. Better sleep, more movement, a little less sugar. But it genuinely, reliably works. And because this fat goes first, even small changes start clearing it out before the scale even moves. So let's go all the way back to that pinch at your waist from this morning. That soft layer you can grab was never the real danger. It is the fat you cannot pinch that matters most. Deep inside, that hidden fat can quietly smolder, force-feed your liver, and jam your blood sugar for years. But remember the good news. It is also the fat that listens. It is the very first to retreat when you act. Move a little, sleep a little better, ease off the sugar and the stress. That is all it really asks. Because your body is not just what you see in the mirror. The most important number is wrapped quietly around your core. So tonight, do not just glance at the scale. Take one slow breath, measure your waist, and really listen to what is happening inside you. Then next time, I will show you exactly what happens inside your body in the very first hour after you stop eating sugar.